Captain Jake Brennan stood still as the metal doors of Nexus 7 hissed open. Cold air hit his face. But it wasn't just the temperature. It was the feeling. The kind of silence that meant danger was hiding somewhere close. His boots echoed as he stepped inside the giant hall. Around him were creatures from nightmare worlds, tall, armored, eyes like burning coals. Every one of them stared at the human crew like they didn't belong. Beside Jake, Commander Riley Knox read from her tablet. Deathworld Council, neutral ground, no weapons allowed. Her voice was calm, but her hand trembled slightly. Jake gave a dry smile. They want us to prove we're as dangerous as they think we are. From the shadows, a voice growled. You will face one of our Warspawn, alone. Riley looked up sharply. That wasn't in the brief. Jake stepped forward. Doesn't matter. Let's show them what Earth calls friendship. The doors slammed shut behind them, locking with a heavy sound that echoed through the steel arena. Captain Jake Brennan's eyes scanned the dim light ahead. A deep growl rolled through the air like thunder. From the far side of the chamber, something massive stepped forward, its body covered in black armor, claws thick as swords, red eyes glowing with pure rage. A Marcon Warspawn. Commander Riley Knox whispered, That thing destroyed an entire colony in under 10 minutes. Jake didn't flinch. Let's see if it talks before it tears us apart. The creature took another step, but didn't attack. It tilted its head and let out a low, rumbling sound. Then, the Warspawn did something none of them expected. It slowly raised, O'Reilly gasped. Did it just show respect? Jake narrowed his eyes. No. It remembers us. Jake didn't move. Neither did the Warspawn. For a long moment, silence filled the arena, heavy and tense. Then the creature took another slow step forward. Its claws scraped the floor, but there was no threat in its movement. Just caution. Riley raised her tablet, scanning quickly. There's no record of this one ever hesitating, she whispered. Warspawn don't stop. They don't think. They just kill. Jake slowly lowered his rifle. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it isn't just a weapon. The creature growled again, but this time it wasn't anger. It sounded like pain or memory. A symbol lit up on its chest, faint, burned deep into the armor. It was the old Earth insignia. Human-made. Riley's eyes widened. This one's not from them. It was made by us. Jake's heart pounded. We didn't come to prove we're dangerous. We came to remember what we left behind. The Warspawn stepped closer and bowed. ChatGPT said the entire council chamber fell into chaos. Alien delegates stood up, shouting in dozens of languages. Some drew hidden weapons. Others backed away from the Warspawn in fear. But Jake didn't move. He kept his eyes locked on the creature that now knelt before him. Riley leaned close and whispered, This doesn't make sense. Warspawn were built to wipe out humanity. During the machine wars. Why would one bow to us? Jake's voice was quiet. Because not all of them forgot who made them. An ancient delegate from the Sithari race slammed a fist on the table. This is a trick. A trap. The humans planted. This Warspawn! The Warspawn growled low, its voice metallic but clear. Not planted. Found. Long ago. Buried. Alone. Jake stared at it. You were waiting. It nodded slowly. Waiting for the ones who taught me mercy. The room fell silent. Riley whispered, Captain, what if the Warspawn didn't lose their humanity? What if we did? The silence in the chamber felt heavy, like the air itself didn't know what to do. The alien leaders looked between the kneeling Warspawn and the two humans standing before it. Jake could feel the pressure building. This wasn't just a meeting anymore. It was turning into something much bigger. A challenge to everything the galaxy believed about humans, about war, and about who really controlled the past. Riley's voice trembled. If this Warspawn remembers us, how many more might still be out there? The creature lifted its head, red eyes glowing softer now. Others, broken, sleeping, but they will wake, when called. Jake turned to the council. You called Earth a death world. You feared us because we survive, no matter the odds. But you never asked how we survive. He stepped closer to the council table. We make allies, even from our enemies. We build loyalty in the hearts of weapons. Behind him, the Warspawn stood tall, not as a monster, but as a soldier. One of the council members, a reptilian diplomat from the Krell Dominion, hissed sharply. This is madness. Warspawn cannot choose. They are machines, programmed only for destruction. The Warspawn's voice echoed through the hall. I chose. I waited. I remembered. Jake didn't blink. You fear what you don't understand. You fear that your greatest weapons could one day turn. Because we taught them something you never could. Compassion. Riley stepped beside him, her tone firm. You made us prove our strength. But it's not our weapons that make us dangerous. It's our hearts. An older alien, silent until now, leaned forward. Her voice was calm, but sharp. If even your deadliest creations bow to you willingly, then perhaps humanity is more than a death world. The Warspawn slowly turned toward the exit, then looked back at Jake. They wait, it said, in the dark, for your voice. Jake met its gaze. Then we'll wake them. Outside, alarms began to ring. Something had arrived. Something big. The station trembled as red lights flashed across the ceiling. Sirens wailed. On the council's security feeds, something massive had appeared outside Nexus 7. A fleet. Not alien. Not known. And definitely not peaceful. The hulls of the ships looked ancient, scarred by war, but powerful. On each one was the same symbol burned into the Warspawn's chest, the old Earth insignia, twisted and worn by time. Riley's fingers flew across her tablet. These ships, they're not in any database. No known ID. No registry. The Warspawn turned its head slowly. They woke. Jake's breath caught in his throat. You called them. I remembered. And they remembered me. The council. Members shouted in panic, demanding shields, weapons, evacuations. Jake didn't move. He stared at the screen, then at the Warspawn. They're not here to attack, Jake said slowly. They're here for orders, Riley whispered, stunned. We didn't just build weapons. We built a forgotten army. The Warspawn looked down. And now, we wait for your command, ChatGPT said. The chamber fell into stunned silence as the ancient fleet hovered outside Nexus 7, motionless but filled with silent power. The ships did not fire. They didn't move. They waited, like statues of war frozen in space. Inside, every council member watched with wide, fearful eyes. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was no longer sure who held true power. Jake stepped forward, his voice calm but heavy with weight. You all demanded proof that humans were strong enough to be in your little council. You wanted fear. You wanted threats. You wanted us to show you we could fight like monsters. He turned toward the viewing screen, toward the fleet. But we don't lead with fear. We lead with loyalty, with memory, with bonds you can't program or control. The Warspawn stood beside him. We remember our creators. We follow not because of code, but because of trust. Riley raised her voice. We came in peace, but don't mistake that for weakness. We could have arrived with an army. Jake looked each alien leader in the eye. Instead, we brought one soldier, and that was enough. The fleet slowly turned, engines rumbling through the void. Not toward the station, but away. They disappeared into the stars, waiting once, more. The Warspawn stepped back into the shadows, its voice barely audible. Call us when you need us, and we will return. And just like that, the meeting was over. But the galaxy would never forget it.